Hello everyone, it's Chris with Expat Theory. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Appreciate you being here. Alright, this is the second video of the day. This video, I wanted to talk about GP Transco. This is going to be a kind of a short, just an overview of working for GP Transco. I've been with these guys almost 2 years now. Next month will be 2 years. And trucking. What can you say? You know, if you're a truck driver, you know exactly what I'm going to go through. Because everybody goes through it. If you're not a truck driver, buckle up. Because you're going to find out some stuff. I'm going to tell you some stuff that most people don't tell you about trucking. And I'm going to tell you some stuff that they always talk about. But you know, every trucking company has things that they do well. They have things that they don't do well. And trucking is pretty much the same across the board, depending on what company you're working for. It's very similar, okay? The idea and the concept is, you know, your company comes in, we pick up freight, we move it and deliver it to where it needs to go. There's a lot of hands that get involved along the way. There are a lot of rules and restrictions. There's a lot of headaches, problems, and BS that we have to deal with. And that's trucking, you know. As far as working for GP, they are probably one of the better trucking companies. They get, you know, on these lists that you see on the internet about the best paying trucking companies, they typically pop up in those lists frequently. They're not the specialized trucking that can pay huge amounts of money. No, there's companies that work for like oil rigs and oil yards. Those drivers are making hundreds of thousands a year. You're not going to see that here. That's not even a thing here. But as far as standard trucking, dry van, your usual thing, they're not that bad. Their pay rates are comparable to everybody else. Everybody's kind of in that ballpark around 60 cents a mile for experienced drivers. New drivers usually start out a little bit less. GP expects you to have at least 6 months of experience, I believe it is. All the companies deal with the camera issue. Some of them just have the forward-facing cameras that look out front, and it's not a big deal. It's not an issue. Many of the trucking companies have cameras on both sides. They have one pointing at you as well as out front. I don't like that. CRST had that with the inward-facing camera, and I don't care for that. It bugs me. It's an invasion of our privacy. I don't like it. And if anything, it's being done. They say, oh yeah, to protect your driver. That's an absolute lie. It is not to protect the driver. It is to protect the company. Because if they can prove that you were doing something wrong, the company will pin you for whatever happened. If you had an accident or something, they'll fire you and say, nope, that was on you. And we have you on camera because you were doing something wrong. So it's on you. You're not getting company legal representation in court. And you're going to have to handle it for yourself. So it's a way for the company to save money for themselves. It has nothing to do with protecting you as the driver. So if they ever tell you that, that's absolute lie. GP, they give you the option. They'll actually pay you a couple of cents more if you have the inward-facing camera. I opted no, but some drivers, they don't care. They'll take the 2 cents, I think it is, difference and increase in pay and have the inward facing camera. Um, Now I've only worked for 2 companies, so I can't really go out here and say what it's like working for everybody, in the trucking industry. I can tell you that based on what I have seen being out here for almost 5 years, GP's equipment is probably a step above. Their trucks are relatively new, somewhere in the 300 to 350,000 mile range. They swap them out. They'll use your truck that's used. They'll put it into a lease program and or sell it, trade it off, trade it in, whatever. So they keep the trucks pretty up to speed. You're not going to get assigned a broken down piece of crap truck. That ain't happening. And what's even more impressive to me is the fleet of trailers. Trailers get beat to hell. Everybody knows they get beat to hell. Yard dogs especially beat the hell out of our equipment. They couldn't care less about our shit. They'll tear it up in a heartbeat. GP has actually got pretty decent trailers, and they're buying more frequently. So they're updating and they're repairing and keeping things online. They got some older trailers out there, but they still look halfway decent, pull decent, and are in pretty good shape. Some of them get tore up. When they do, they'll fix them and actually do a really good job of repairing them. They put the metal over, rivet it, seal it, the whole bit. Some customers won't even accept that, so they put those into the fleet, generally keep them in places where, the customer's not so picky about the trailer shape. There are some places that can't have any kind of damage like that. We got a lot of trailers that are in pristine condition. So very rarely have very much equipment issues. You might have a tire. Tires go. You can't help that. You might have a tire problem. You might have a light bulb burnout. Yard dog will bust one of your lenses or bust one of your lights. Things like that. But they're quick to just tell you to take it to the shop and get it fixed. Or if you're near Joliet, Chicago area, you just run into HQ to our shop and they'll fix it. So I have to give them credit, especially for their equipment. They run all brand new or near new Freightliner Cascadias, which is pretty much the standard industry truck now. It's become pretty much every company is running the Cascadias. I would say probably more than half of the trucking companies are running the whole fleet of Cascadias. As far as the trucking company goes as itself, I really don't have a whole lot of complaints. They'll pay you for downtime. Stuff that you can't do anything about. They'll pay you for when you have a down day. Their detention pay sucks. It's $25 an hour, but customer always gets 2 hours free, and they don't want to start that detention pay until you're actually at your appointment time. So, for example, you have a 1 p.m. afternoon appointment, but you get there at 11 a.m. Nope, your scheduled appointment is at 1. So that 11 to 12 and 12 to 1, those 2 hours, nothing. So then your clocks actually start at 1 o'clock, your appointment time. So then it would have to go beyond 3 p.m. for you to get to that first 2 hours of free. So you've been there 4 hours and you get nothing. Absolutely nothing. So if it takes them 5 hours to get you loaded, you sat there for 5 hours and they're going to give you $25. So you'll be getting paid basically $5 an hour. Yeah, detention pay sucks. Um, they're good about bonuses with, like if you get pulled over for a dot inspection, they do give you a bonus on that. I just got pulled over, scared the crap out of me. Got pulled over not too long ago, just the other day. I was cruising along. Next thing I know, I got red and blues in my mirror, and I'm like, oh shit. Pull off to the side. It's just a random inspection, which I passed with flying colors. Like I said, our equipment's in good shape. My logs are good. I always keep straight on my logs and stuff. Pass with flying colors, no problem. $150 in my paycheck. Can't complain about that. Our HQ. Our HQ's not bad. Yard is getting a lot fuller now. We've got a lot of equipment. Parking there is becoming harder. A lot of it was when I first started. The parking there was a lot more available. Yeah, it's not so good now. It's a little more difficult to find parking there, but that's the only yard that they have. It's the only shop that they have. It's the HQ here. This company is an international company. They have 3 branches. One branch is in Colombia, one branch is in Lithuania, and then the U.S. branch is in Joliet, outside of Chicago. So the only yard they have is Chicago. Not really a big deal. I mean, I don't even go there unless I need to for some reason. Unless, if circumstances, that's the best place to go for parking, I'll go there. But a lot of time I don't go there. But if you do go there, they got restrooms, showers, kitchens, workout room. Hell, they got a half-court basketball court indoors. So if you want to go in there and play some round ball, they got couches and TVs, and there's a PlayStation 5 or 4 or something like that sitting there that you can play. They got washers and dryers. It's not bad. It's relatively nice, actually, to be honest with you. It's a lot nicer than the accommodations that CRST had. About the only place that CRST had that was even close to that is their HQ in Cedar Rapids. Pretty much the rest of their headquarter buildings and yards, nowhere near as nice. All right. Dispatching. This is the biggie. This is the biggie. Dispatching your miles. Struggling. The industry itself is having a tough go. This last year has been rough. I've gotten a new dispatcher. Kind of been mixed. I've had 2 weeks that were good. 1 week it wasn't so good. When we put it all together, it comes out a little bit around average, maybe just slightly better. Right now, they're trying their best to keep everybody running at least 2,500 miles a week. I'm really hoping that's going to get better. I need to be running at least 2,800 miles a week. So I'm always a little bit aggravated with them. I'm always complaining that, I need a little bit more. The managers, for the most part, I've had a number of them. I've had like 4 of them. I've never had any of them micromanage me. They send me the information. I plot it out. I trip plan everything, and they do include a fuel stop, so they pick the fuel places, which I don't have a problem with because they're picking out places that are the cheaper ones. So it makes sense that they're going to tell you which place to go to fuel because it's going to have the cheapest rates for them. They're paying for the fuel and everything, so You know, I don't have a problem with that. The the guys that I've dealt with, they don't really have a whole lot of personality. It's not like you're gonna have a manager that's like your bestest buddy, your pal. And some people do. I haven't experienced that. They're very much dry, very much to the point. Here's your load information. This is what you need. This is what I need, and go. But I'm okay with that too. I'm okay with that. It'd be nicer if you could call him. Hey, dude, what's going on, man? I ain't talked to you in a couple of days. How you been? And they don't really do that too much. It's pretty much all about the job, which is fine. For me, it's fine. Some people get offended by that. I don't. Your nights and weekends. Pretty much every truck driver will tell you nights and weekend dispatchers. Yeah, those are warm bodies behind a phone, basically just for an emergency. If something happens, you have an accident or something like that, they're the ones that you call and contact. Other than that, you're probably better off trying to sort out any issues you have yourself. And if it's something that can wait until Monday, just hold on to it until Monday. Don't even bother. If you're in a situation where you need to have the company involved, like right now, you don't really have a choice. And this pretty much goes for all the companies. Everybody I've ever talked to at every other company, they all say the same thing. Nights and weekends are they're just there for emergency purposes only. So if you get into the trucking industry and you know how to run your loads and run your routes and all that, you'll be fine. Things that they tell you, they'll tell you that trucking is hard. They'll tell you that you're separated from your family. It's a lot of work. You gotta be on the road for 10, 11 hours a day, at least 10 usually. Here it is true. You'll be running a lot. They like to use the split sleeper option. For those of you who don't know trucking, it's a new rule that they came out with a while ago where we can split up our time off that's required by law into 2 chunks. And it makes things a little easier for us to make appointment times. It can be abused. And if you're not actually in your sleeper bunk getting rest, but you mark it that way on your logs, you can get extra time back to continue driving. And I think most companies are taking advantage of it. And there are some companies that are forcing it. They're telling their drivers they have to do it. GP has not told me I have to do it. But they have recommended the use of split sleeper to maximize your hours as much as possible. I don't want to get into the whole legalities of that and how that can play out, but just know that GP is trying to play by the rules, as far as I can tell. They suggest, but they don't require. The other thing about dispatching is the loads. Here's where I've got a little problem with GP. They came out recently and they gave the description or definition of forced dispatch. As a company, they say that forced dispatch is if they are giving you a load that violates the hours of service or rules, laws, regulations of some sort, then that is required. That's being considered forced dispatch. And myself, no. You do not get to redefine the wording to make it okay for the company. Forced dispatch is and will remain to be anytime they give you a load that you do not want to take. For whatever reason, if you do not want that load and you tell them, no, I want a different load, and they try to make you take that load, whether it be coercion or threats of discipline or termination or whatever, that is forced dispatch. Period. I have not been forced. I have been coerced, and I allowed it to happen a couple of times, but I made it very clear that if I don't want to go on a load, I have a reason, and I'm not doing it. And if I can do the load, I'll do the load. I don't turn down a load for just any reason, that will get you terminated. I mean, we have a business to do here. We have a job to do, and we need to get those loads moved. And it makes the company money, it makes you money, it makes the customers money. It's business. So you pretty much need to take the loads that are given to you. If a load is something that you feel is dangerous or not good for you, whatever your skill level may be or may not be, if you feel like it is a risk or a hazard, then refuse the load. And if they try to make you take it, that's forced dispatch. I won't work for a company that does forced dispatch. So first time that gets rammed down my throat will be the last, because I'll be saying, you know what, take me off that load that you're trying to force me on and get me a load back to HQ so I can turn in all my stuff, because I don't work here anymore. That's just, there's too many companies out there. There's lots of driving jobs. I don't have to put myself in danger to do something. Also, weather. If the weather's bad, shut down. I'm seeing a lot of videos lately about people driving on highways that are ridiculous. The weather's just terrible. Snow, and people are putting on chains. I'm sorry, if the weather's bad enough that you have to put chains on your truck, the weather's bad enough for you to shut down. There is absolutely no reason why you should be running with chains on your truck. Some people will disagree with that. People have been trucking forever, and the old timers, they'll all say, no, you can run if you have chains on. There's no problem with that. No, absolutely not. I completely disagree. There is no load that is that important that it needs you to risk yourself, risk your equipment, driving in those conditions for a schedule, so they don't get their freight on this day of the week. They get it 2 days later because of the weather. You're going to tell me it's more important for them to get that freight 2 days earlier than your life or your equipment to be torn up or run the risk of being torn up. No. I don't give a damn about anybody's schedule. My safety, the safety of my vehicle and my equipment comes first. So I've never had an issue. Matter of fact, GP has always been the opposite. They've always put it in my ballpark. I'm behind the wheel. If I need to shut down, I shut down. And basically, I run and drive at times when they're wondering if I want to shut down. I've got experience out here. I know what to do. I know how to drive. When it starts getting bad, I call it. I pull in somewhere and I park. But if the weather's in a state that I can drive in, I'll drive it. So it's not like I'm just, oh, snow flurries, time to pull over. No, I ain't doing that. Anyway, back to what they do tell you about trucking. What they tell you, it's difficult. They tell you it's your separation from your family and your friends. You're in this truck for hours and hours and days and months, and you don't get a whole lot of time off, and it's stressful on your body. People don't realize that part, but they will tell you, hey, sitting in that chair for long periods of time sucks. They don't tell you is sitting in that chair for long periods of time usually adds 20 to 40 pounds in a very short period of time. And the majority of that goes directly to your stomach. Because it's just every truck driver I've ever seen, including myself, have put on weight, and it's usually right around the gut. And it's the inactivity, the lack of movement, and sitting in this truck. So highly recommend, if you're thinking about getting into trucking, you need to keep that in mind, that you need to get out of the truck, exercise. Sucks is they don't tell you that a lot of times it's raining, snowing, scorching, hot, cold, wet. It happens all the time, every day. You get a lot of those conditions and extremes. So getting out of the truck to exercise is a lot harder than it sounds. Doing exercises in the truck, there's a lot of people who do that. It takes a lot of inner motivation to do so. Can be done. But what they don't tell you about trucking is it will affect your health. If you do not take measures to stay healthy, it will affect your health severely. In some cases, drastically. So you really kind of need to keep that in mind if you decide to get into trucking. Another thing about trucking that they don't really talk about is your mental state. Some people cannot handle the isolation, and you are isolated. You might talk to, your people on the phone from the company once in a while. You'll deal with your shippers and your receivers. You might even chit-chat with other drivers here and there once in a while. But the vast majority of your time is isolated. And that isolation and your poor diet out here, the food out here sucks. Yeah, it's a conscious effort if you want to try to find healthy food. And it's hard. But your food sucks, your diet sucks, your exercise sucks, your mental state starts to deteriorate as well. If you have depression, it will affect your depression. For some cases, it's really, really severe. Some people have to leave the industry relatively quickly because they find out that it just really aggravates depression horribly. Same thing with anxiety. There's so many moving parts. It's very frustrating. You may have 2 or 3 people doing their job accurately and correctly, and 15 others that are just, they couldn't find their own butt with both hands. And it will drive you absolutely bonkers. So it will aggravate anxiety. These are things that they don't tell you about. The life of being out here on the road is not for everyone. Of course, they'll tell you, oh yeah, you can do it and you're going to make all kinds of money. You're going to make $100,000 a year and blah, 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 blah. No, you're not. Nope, you're not. I've been out here almost 5 years. I ain't seen anywhere near close 6 figures. It's not going to happen. If you get into something specialized, yeah. Once you've been out here for a few years, you can keep finding companies that maybe have things, dedicated accounts, or companies that pay more. Um, it can be done. Don't get me wrong. I was talking to a LTL driver, which is like your local guys, the guys that do a lot of less than a full truck. That's what the LTL. Um, those guys like R&L, they're a good company. They're, from what I can tell, they're an excellent company. One of their drivers was telling me he was making $106,000 a year. I don't know what his experience level is. I don't know what all he's hauling and all this. I don't know his details, but it can be done. And those are options once you've been out there for a while. But when you first start and you end up being over the road like I'm doing, yeah, you're not gonna make six figures. So, I mean, the pay is good. It's not bad. I've seen a steady progression from when I started. I was making $26,000 a year with CVS. My first year, I made $46,000. First year trucking. Second year, I made $58,000. My third year, I made $71,000. Fourth year, $71,000. This year, I'll finish out somewhere $71,000 to $73,000. You know, for somebody who does not have a college education, does not have a trade background, you know, like electrician or plumber or something like that, 70 grand for a job, not that bad. You know, going to school usually takes a month or less to get your CDL. Definitely recommend, if you're going to get into it, make sure that you get good training and you practice a lot, especially on your backing and your parking. And learn, pay attention to what you learn so that you get out here and you do well. But know coming into it, this is not a cakewalk. This isn't just easy. There's a lot of crap out here. The job can be frustrating. It can aggravate your mental health. It can aggravate your physical health. It can screw with you. So it's not as easy a job as everybody thinks it is. Some people say, oh, you just sit there holding the steering wheel. No, there's a lot more to it. And if it were super easy, everybody would do it. And most people get into trucking don't last 3 months. So that should tell you right there. If most people cannot do it and cannot last doing it more than 3 months, it's not for everyone. So be sure you know what you're doing before you try to get into it. You really think it out. Overall, I'm going to wrap this up. I've just been rambling, but I just kind of wanted to touch base with you guys. Working with GP has been pretty good. I've gotten some good feedback. I've had some back and forth, good times, bad times with GP, you know. I've argued with them a little bit here and there, but that's any company. You know, I can honestly say that they have treated me well. I'm not setting the world on fire with my income, but I'm not being paid bad either. I got good equipment. You know, my truck came with a refrigerator and a microwave and a bunk bed, you know. I got a bed to sleep in. I got food. I got a microwave. I can make coffee. I got a coffee maker in here. I make my own coffee. You know, I really can't complain. And living in my truck like I do saves me over 20 grand a year. You know, depending on where you live, what part of the world you live in, country. You know, if you're in New York, it's saving you a lot more. But you know, if you're in the backwoods of Tennessee, where the cost of living is a lot lower, you know, it's still going to save you close to 20 grand a year. And that's big. That really helps, you know, your financials at the end of the year. So that 70,000 actually, you know, feels more like 90 because you didn't have to pay rent all year. You didn't have to pay for electric all year. You know, no home internet, no, you know, none of that stuff. You didn't have to pay for that. As long as you got your cell phone and your tablet or whatever, you're good. You know. So I can say that, GP has actually done well, and hopefully 2025 is going to do better. 2024 kind of sucked, but we got there. I made my goals, I made my money without I needed to make for the year, barely. I eked it out, but hopefully 2025 is going to be better. And I have not said this in the past, but I will say it now. After 2 years of being here, I guess I would recommend working for GP. I mean, I can't come in here and say that they're stellar and they're better than everybody else, and they're going to sweep the industry with their cutting edge technology and the way they do things. And no, can't say any of that craziness. But I can say that they're solid. I haven't had any real negative issues in 2 years. I've been making decent money. Their facilities are good. Equipment's good. Trucking market has been the issue this year. So I guess I would say that if you're interested and you've got experience, at least 6 months of driving experience, consider them if you're looking for a new spot. They're not that bad. They do pretty good compared to other companies. I came from CRST. My best friend has driven for 4 or 5 different companies. Some of them are freaking nightmares, man. They're crazy. I would not work for them. Fortunately, my best friend being a truck driver, he's kind of explored some other companies, so I don't have to. I get it from him, and holy moly. I'm going to throw one under the bus. Heartland Express. No. Not sure what their over-the-road division is like, but their regional? Oh, no. At Regional Northwest? Nope, 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 nope. Nope, not happening. So anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. I just kind of rambled on, but I wanted you guys to kind of get a feel for it, from somebody who's got no dog in the hunt. This is just me telling it as it is because I've been here doing it. GP ain't paying me nothing. I'm not a recruiter. I'm not none of that. I am not sponsored in any way by them. Other than I work here and they pay me my paycheck. But they want to get mad at me about my YouTube channel. Hey, go for it. That it would be dumb because I'm actually saying good things about them, but that's because it's been my experience, not because anybody else or anything else influencing my opinion. Unbiased. All right, guys, I'm going to close it out there. If you guys have any questions, comments, whatever, drop them down below. Anybody who might like this kind of content, please share it to them. And we'll see you guys in the next video.